Welcome to Karibu Anawim's 15 Minutes at Dr. Zali's Desk special. Join us as we dive into the topics related to living with a facial disfigurement. Whether you're here for yourself, your loved ones, or for educational and professional insights, this is for you. We start our conversation with clear, understandable terminology. While we use disfigurement, it's for medical and legal clarity. We acknowledge you may relate to terms like visible difference or your own diagnoses. All our presenters have lived experience or work with people living with facial disfigurement. Curious to know more? So are we. Pull up a seat, grab a cuppa, and let's chat around the table with Karibu Anawim's 15 Minutes at Dr. Zali's Desk special.
Hi, I'm Dr. Zali, your host for today's special guest. Our special guest today is Grace Bailey. I'm going to be reading it to you. Grace is Geelong-based, so in Australia, that's in Victoria, based artist who seamlessly blends life painting, speaking engagements and workshops on an international scale. From teaching and painting commissions in Singapore, America and New Zealand in 2023 to exhibiting and selling work at prestigious business conferences across Australia in 2019, her impact reverberates globally and spans several decades. So, with that fact, I shall introduce her.
Hi.
G'day, how are you?
Yeah, look, this is very Australian, isn't it? G'day.
It is. I usually say uru at the end too.
Yeah, so do I, oddly enough.
That's it. So
That's
before we start, is there anything that you'd like to share about yourself, like a hobby or something like you do?
Well, one thing that I was just sitting here waiting, and I noticed your logo, and I thought, oh my goodness, look at that! It could almost be a logo for some of my work. It's uncannily inclined that way. So, yeah. Do I have any hobbies? We have over an acre of garden, and much to my chagrin, I've sort of had to take up gardening because it needs doing. And but it's good because I'm not a natural athlete, and I don't naturally go to the gym or anything like that. And it keeps me fit. Fitter than I would be if I was sitting on my derriere day after day.
Day after day.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, this year I've tried planting tomatoes. So I've had a little crop of tomatoes. So that's been pretty good. And just wondering, you paint. I can see in the background you've got some beautiful pictures of paintings that I've got pictures of that we're going to be talking about today. But how did you choose faces? How did you choose to paint faces?
I think they chose me. So back in the dark ages, when Noah was a boy and so was I, I was doing my undergraduate, and I was just so fascinated with eyes. And this was before digital stuff was available. I mean, that's how long ago it was. I mean, before very much digital. So to actually get reference images of people's eyes, like up close, was really quite difficult. You had to work from sort of photographs and things. But I was really intrigued with eyes, and I've never really been able to understand why. But obviously from there, I just sort of I went into portraiture. So I did a master's in portraiture and drawing. I majored particularly in oil portraits. The largest one that I've done is 2.7 meters by.
Is that the guy? Is that the old guy, like the old African guy?
No, that's a different one.
Okay, because I know some of her artwork, and I've seen where she used to live, and I remember walking straight in, and he was absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, well, there is a big one, 2.7 by about 1,500. So I think that's 7 feet. I'd have to actually work it out.
I don't have any depth perception, so you could tell me anything, really.
Yeah. Anyway, it's big. It was really big. So I used to do really large-scale portraits for a long time, and then, you know, life gets on and all that sort of stuff. I had 4 children, single parent, all that kind of stuff. And I sort of moved away from portraiture, and I've only just in the last 2 or 3 years, 4 years maybe, started to swing back towards very much portraiture.
Yeah.
And it's not actual just straight portraiture. It's a portraiture with additions, I guess.
So what you like the eyes? Why? Because the eyes are supposed to be the window to our souls, or the gateway to our souls. So, like, I'm a bit biased as well, because my stuff is all about eyes and how we, as people living with a facial eye disfigurement, are not really seen, because it's, you know, people just say it's just an eye, you've got another one, and aren't you glad that it's not, you know, more or whatever else? But it's like, this is where you look. This is where you got to go for, you know, recognition and
every interaction. Yeah.
Every interaction. You know,
yeah.
you can even during COVID, our eyes were it. You know, you know, everything else was masked, and our eyes were the only things that we could recognize each other with, really.
Yeah.
So, are there any hard bits of painting a face or painting eyes?
Oddly enough, the hardest part that I find of painting faces is painting white skin. So painting dark skin, African skin, any other colour other than white is much easier, I find. So all of the bits, you know, the nose, the mouth and all that kind of stuff, that's all cool. Getting the colour correct for the skin is a bit of can be a real issue, because if you put too much white in it or don't get the colour right, they can look really pallid, really ill, really ordinary. The darker the skin, the easier, the more fun it is. You just put a whole lot of purples and browns and stuff in it, and yeah, that's good fun. The rest of it's, yeah, that's pretty easy.
Right. So the easy parts is just the eyes and the ears and the nose and the mouth.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
what about the hair?
No, that's a piece of cake. That's really, really easy. Yeah. So all of my work currently is acrylic on canvas, and acrylic is a capricious mistress. She doesn't like to be blended. She likes to have her own way. So you kind of, I've had to work out how to blend it so that the skin actually, you know, the form is correct and all of that kind of stuff. So all of those other components like eyes and nose and mouth, you know, they're easy. You just put them where you want them to be. But the skin, you actually have to blend, and I'm working on it. I get it now.
I think you've more than got there, but you can practice. You know, you're a master craftswoman, but you know, we all get better with practice. Yeah. Practice makes better, never perfect. So some days you get it and you go, yes, and some days you go, oh, let's start again.
Yeah.
So should we add to the stage some of your pictures?
Sure.
I've done it straight away. I've just done it. There you go. Yeah. Have this one. Which one would you like to talk about? Like, would you like to talk to this one, or would you like to talk to the one that's...
I'm happy to talk about all of them, but do you want to start with the next one?
Yeah,
start
okay.
With the next one.
Guys, I'm sorry, but that was let me see the beauty, despite that was rather larger on the thing. So I don't know what they've done with that, you know, but whatever it's done, please forgive that and just look at the beautiful picture.
So there's a whole body of work, and this is one of the early ones that started. So we've all been through lockdown, and in fact, Victoria Melbourne had the world's longest lockdowns, and we had 6 altogether, and it affected a great many people's mental health. It affected so many areas of people's lives in most unjust manners. Anyway, we'd just been through all of the horror and of living without being able to mix and see our children and family and all that kind of stuff. And I'd started this series of work, and then very, very suddenly my 22-year-old niece passed away, and it rocked us to our core because we hadn't had anybody in our generation since my mother's generation. Nobody had passed away, so we like everybody believes, we were invisible and it wasn't going to happen to us. Then the effect of that, because it rocked us very much and had a ripple effect through the entire family. So not long after that, I got COVID, and then I got shingles, and then within 10 months, very suddenly, I lost my son. And my son was my best friend, and he had been for a long time. This series of work sort of developed through some of that. So the women are types of women. They're not any individual people. They're a type of strong women who essentially are still standing. All of the things, the lines, the cracks, the flowers, the butterflies, the abstract shapes are the events and the things that happen to us along the way, or can happen and were happening at that stage. This one particularly, there were lots of cracks and lots of things that you just couldn't foresee. And they're basically an attempt to try and see good come out of it, and to see what was good and see what the blessings were and all of that. So the one before, if you go back to the one before.
Radio, hang on, going back.
Is the same sort of thing. So you can see, like what are all these electric lines that connect all of this stuff. Magnolias are beautiful flowers. They're magnificent flowers. She's quite pale and stuff, so you can kind of read into it what you like. But obviously, the reference to steel is it's tough to get through stuff and to see the good, the noble, and the stuff. And you'll notice that one of her eyes is actually covered as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you move on to the others.
Going.
I should have said you last
one.
Okay. Go back.
Okay, so this one, coming through the hard times. We've got one more after this one, I think.
Yeah, so this one is the same kind of theme. And so when you started painting, I don't know about other artists, but I never end up where I think I'm going to end up. Like, you can have it in your mind where to go, but it just takes its own path. You put paint on something and it sort of, she cracks the whip and she just goes where she wants to go. This one was a bit like that. And I didn't intend for that face to look as sad, but that's what came out. And I guess it was a subconscious reaction, because that was after my son went. I had a very bleak time, as you can imagine, for quite some time. And then somewhere in all of that is where this painting came. I'm deliberately going after beauty. I am deliberately trying to create artwork that is beautiful. And the definition of beauty is what? It's something that people actually want to look at. But there's so much in life, so much art that we see around us, and we're bombarded with imagery and everything that is not beautiful, that is morbid or miserable or macabre or
sexy.
Exy, yeah. Well, that's an articulate word.
Horrible.
Yeah, okay. Yuck.
Yeah.
And I guess this is my one woman stand against yucky, exy art, and I particularly wanted to do beautiful stuff. So some of this line work is, here's me moving my you can't see my mouse, can you?
No.
No. So here I am flapping away, showing you the line work. Some of it, that's deliberately trying to actually create beautiful art. But then what came out of this work, sort of unconscious or subconsciously, was about being able to see beauty despite the stuff, the crappy stuff, the hard times.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's where that one came from.
So it came out of mourning for Elliot,
yeah,
and seeing how life throws big, huge curveballs and trying to see, even though there's cracks and there's still beauty in those cracks, because you've got lots of flowers or imagery around that face, that sad face that's looking at us, from me, in my perspective. And I like the fact that, the eye is sort of like veiled, half veiled, meaning maybe that there's still that you're seeing something through a veil still before you push through it, or something like that.
Yeah, funnily enough, and this is again entirely subconscious, a lot of my work ends up having one whole eye and part of an eye or no eye left. And I don't really know why. Even that painting you see on the wall behind me, that big one, that's quite old, and it's only there because I brought it back from where it was exhibited, and I just sort of
I'll just bring you back on so you can see. Yes,
I plumped it on the wall.
Yes.
But you can see there's half the eye is there.
Yeah.
It's not something that I do consciously, but it seems to be quite regular. And there's one more painting.
One more painting. Here we go. This one.
It's actually
beautiful.
It's an older work, and this one's oil that I did. And what it represents, she's a beautiful young girl. It's actually my daughter, and she's very beautiful, very clever. The white over her nose and mouth were indicating that she wasn't always, so she's blonde, long blonde hair. And she went through, particularly in her teenage years, being not taken very seriously because people, because
blonde, blue-eyed, and beautiful.
Yeah, and
so she's had the others, and yes. No, let's not go down that rabbit warren, please.
No.
But
so this was a work. I mean, you've got to put it in its context. It was quite some time ago, and so the blossoms. People see blossoms as sort of being beautiful, and that's all they are, but they're short-lived and stuff. So that's what this painting was about, rather than seeing into the depth of the intelligence and the emotion and all of that sort of stuff, and who the person was. It was about, just seeing what people want to see.
Yeah.
When you've got to prove yourself, which is, I guess, what a lot of people with facial deformity do. They have to prove who they are. I mean, our whole society talks so much about acceptance and diversity and all of that sort of stuff. But, who are we kidding? Don't try and be old. Don't and have a voice, or, But anyway, that's a whole different thing.
Yeah. So
I have lots more paintings, and you can see lots and lots of them on my website.
Yes, we can. So you're at gracebailey.net.
I am. Yeah.
That's it. So thank you very much, Grace, for coming and sharing your stories. And it's very eye-catching. Yeah, I got some puns. It's all right. Yeah.
You're trying to see me off, aren't you?
Pardon? No. And so
I'm trying to come up with another one. One blink and we're on. No, it's okay. Sorry. It's
all right. Well, thank you very much for coming. And
You're welcome.
and I'm just doing. Is there anything else that you would like to share? Is there a take home that you would like to share? Because all these things have, from all the artwork that you've shared with us today, it was all about. It was coming from a place of pain, but in the pain, making beauty, something beauty out of the pain. That's my interpretation. Maybe that's not what you were trying to
No.
get
Or at least, so you don't, not necessarily making the beauty, although, you know, I deliberately try and do that. But the artworks are about seeing things that are good, you know, thinking about the good, the noble, the beautiful, the, you know, the things that are worthwhile, because it would be very easy to stay in a quagmire of grief and never move forward.
Yeah.
My niece and my son would definitely not like that, and I don't want to do that.
No.
About
And lots
moving
of
forward.
people with facial disfigurement or living with a facial difference, we have lots of grief and lots of times with grief as well, just because of, you know, the way your daughter was used, or not taken seriously because of her beauty. We're not taken seriously because of our looks on the other end of the spectrum, kind of thing. So it's very difficult too. So what's your sentence take home for people?
Look for the good, the noble, and the beautiful. Keep looking till you find it, I guess.
Yeah. And you will find it even in yourself. Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye.
Will do. Bye.
By golly gosh, it's the end of Karibu Anawim's 15 minutes at Dr. Zali's Desk special. And that's a wrap for this episode. Thanks for tuning in. Please remember that all information given during this episode is for general application only. If you have any specific medical issues, as always, consult with your medical practitioner. Like, subscribe and share on whatever platform you find us on. For more information, please connect with Karibu Anawim on our website at karibuanawim.com or email us at inquiries@karibuanawim.com.